Economic writing describes the practice of creating a story in a way that's concise without losing meaning. It emphasizes minimalism and tries to avoid unnecessary embellishment. Fire Emblem is a series that doesn't practice this. The support system alone is enough to exclude most Fire Emblem games from this label. However, I think the 6 games that lack a support system each have compelling examples of how economic writing can lead to depth being achieved through restraint rather than through surplus. The example I'm going to focus on is Arlen from Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem. You first hear of him when Wendell says that Kadain has been left in the care of him and Merrick. All seems well until Marth arrives at Kadain and is attacked by the mages. Upon further investigation, you find that the infamous mage Arlen has initiated a coup and is locked in battle with Merrick. This all stems from Arlen's jealousy over him being given Excalibur by Wendell, something he feared meant Merrick would be his successor. If you manage to keep them both alive, you can talk to Arlen with Wendell. He directly calls out that Arlen's retreading Garneff's path. Garneff had once been a talented young mage, but his resentment over Maloa inheriting the Aura Tome led him to where he is now. Realizing his mistake, Arlen surrenders and joins your army. In his ending, we see that he stayed true to his word as he's now a bishop helping to rebuild Kadain. Despite Arlen's entire character arc and plot relevance being condensable to a few paragraphs, I think his inclusion in FE3 fleshes out the world, enriches other characters, and reinforces the game's themes all at once. The Arcanea games state that powerful magic tomes can only be wielded by a select few as designed by their creators. The specifics of how it works are a bit blurry, but it seems that the tome and the wielder need to align in some way. Wendell says that Merrick got Excalibur because he has a kind heart, and I think it's possible that Arlen having Thoron is similarly meaningful. On a surface level, Lightning is fast-acting and brutal, much like Arlen was when he took over Kadain. However, I think its more interesting meaning can be found with another character associated with Thoron, Boa. Boa pressured Nina into marrying Hardin, a decision that indirectly set the stage for the events of Book 2. Here you have 2 characters associated with Thoron who are both shown to be rash in their decision-making, like how the 2 characters associated with Excalibur are shown to be wise. Arlen strengthens the world-building surrounding magic by showing how certain tomes attract certain personalities. If we knew more about Maloa, maybe we could draw some conclusions about Aura and Lind. He also enriches Merrick and Wendell, gives them both more presence in the story, and provides them with an antagonistic character to bounce off of. We see both how steadfast Merrick can be and how kind Wendell is. It can also be inferred that Wendell commands a great deal of respect if Arlen was so quick to lay down his arms against him. In a game where his side characters get so little dialogue, anything to flesh out their personalities is appreciated. As a side note, I love Arlen's design. Everything about it is so antithetical to Merrick. He's practically the Shadow the Hedgehog of Fire Emblem. Would this make Lind silver? Is Jubilo tails? I guess Edelgard might be a better comparison to Shadow with the experiment. Lastly, Arlen reinforces the game's themes by choosing to work with others instead of striking out on his own. We're provided with a good foil in the chapter right before he joins, where we see Michaelis explain himself to Minerva. He had grand ambitions for Macedon, but when his father disagreed with his plans, he killed him and took over the throne. Michaelis achieved what Arlen was trying to do and was suffering for it. He disgraced himself and his country and is now desperately trying to make things right. He embodies the tragic consequences of unchecked ambition and serves as a warning of what Arlen might become. Arlen and Michaelis being in close succession like this makes it clear that Arlen's redemption is in contrast to Michaelis' downfall. I also think that Merrick and Arlen being echoes of Maloa and Garneff is really interesting. Merrick stepping up to set things straight reinforces the idea that power and responsibility should be earned rather than inherited by default. Lind, Maloa's daughter, is present in this game but isn't the counterpart to Maloa. This mirrors Marth, who's positioned as Anri's successor despite not being a direct descendant. Marth and Merrick both step into roles that may have not initially been meant for them, but still fulfill their duties and cement themselves as heroes. This also frees up Lind to do her own thing. Her story is about avenging her father, which I find more interesting than the alternative of her being Maloa too. I think there's a connection to be made between the game's stance on power and the way magic is passed down. Generally in Fire Emblem, even characters with rightful claims still had to prove themselves. Merrick became a hero through his own actions, similarly to how he was given Excalibur due to his character. Arlen's arc is particularly compelling because it reflects a cycle of ambition and resentment seen throughout Arcanea's history. Much like how Garneff was consumed by jealousy over Maloa, Arlen allowed his insecurity towards Merrick to push him toward a destructive path. However, what makes Arlen's story unique is that he is given the chance to break the cycle and does. Arlen is a great example of how economic writing can be just as effective as more elaborate forms of storytelling. With only a small amount of screen time, Mystery of the Emblem conveys his motivations, contrasts him with other characters, and ties his arc into the game's broader themes. His rivalry with Merrick, parallels to Garneff, and connection with the world's lore around magic serve to make him a compelling character. Arlen's character shows that restraint in writing can still lead to deep and meaningful storytelling as players engage with the material and draw connections on their own.